He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Tuesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us as we are one day closer to Tom Coughlin being inducted into the Pride of the Jaguars, one day closer to the throwback uniforms, one day closer to Indianapolis, making the trip down here to Jacksonville. A place where they have not won a football game since September of 2014, which is absolutely wild. And we're one day removed from the Jacksonville Jaguars officially becoming the only winless team in the NFL. The Tennessee Titans beat the Miami Dolphins JV team last night, but nevertheless, they did win a football game. So Jacksonville stands alone with a 0 in the W column. 32 NFL teams, 31 have celebrated victories here in 2024. The only one that hasn't are your Jacksonville Jaguars. That's where we will begin tonight. Jared Bailey of the Sporting News, one of my favorites to talk NFL with. We'll talk Jags, AFC South, and more with Jared Bailey. He comes up in less than 15 minutes. We will do some college football tonight as well. We mentioned the truth teller, Rick Ballou, will join me towards the top of the 9 o'clock hour, a little bit before, to talk Florida State as they welcome Clemson in with a brand new quarterback under center. Looks like it'll be Brock Glenn for the Seminoles as DJU has an injured finger. Also, Bill Bender of the Sporting News, national college football writer, will join me towards the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour. As always, we will take you all the way to 10 o'clock tonight, and we are certainly glad you are spending part of your Tuesday evening with us. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night, and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal? What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
You know, there was a time when I was considered too negative. Oh, Hacker, I can't follow you on social media. You're too negative. And I said, okay. You call it negative. I call it realistic. I call it reality, my friend. But I've never been confused for a guy that's too Jaguar positive. And we have a few of those in this market, most of which are my friends, colleagues in the media. Of course, I hold no ill will towards any other media member. We're all under the same umbrella. We're all friends in peace and harmony. But some of my colleagues are of the sunshine and rainbows variety. Let's roast marshmallows and play the harmonica and sing Kumbaya when it comes to the Jaguars. I have never been that, nor will I ever be that. Again, been told I'm too negative, never been told I'm too positive. Having said that, I have never been more wrong about a Jaguar football team coming into the year. And I mean that. I've done this. I started as an intern on 930 with Dempsey in 2002. So we're talking 22. Yeah, this is probably my 23rd season on sports radio in some capacity as an intern, a producer, or a host, talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I was thinking back today, honestly, I don't think I've ever been more wrong. I had this team 8, 9, maybe even 10 wins. I think on the 1010XL YouTube series we did, I think I had the Jaguars at 9-8 for the third straight year. Means they'd have to go 9-4 in their last 13 just to get there, which I'm not sure is going to happen. But when I was out at training camp, look, Trevor just got his new deal. Hines Allen's coming off 17.5 sacks. Trayvon Walker's coming off double-digit sacks. They get Christian Kirk back. They bring in, Eric Armstead and Darnell Savage. They get Gabe Davis with 28 career touchdown catches. They bring in a veteran and Mitch Morse. A lot of excitement about Brian Thomas Jr., which that's the one that there is still a lot of excitement about him. I guess it was easy to get caught up in it. It was easy to get caught up in the moment. I try to never let that happen. I always tell you guys, preseason to me means absolutely nothing. Because I've been burned on the preseason too many times. I put very little to no stock in the preseason. But even so, remember the Jaguars won all 3 preseason games. And won all 3 of them fairly convincingly, if memory serves. I don't know if anybody saw 0-4. It's easy now to say, I told you they weren't going to be very good. No one that I knew, no one that I talked to said 0-4 out of the gate. Said, yep, they're going to be the last team without a win in the NFL. That's nonsense. We all knew the schedule was tough at the beginning of the year, but I'm not sure if anybody saw this. So the question is, well, the reality is the Jaguars are the last winless team in the NFL. They're 0-4. There's nothing you can do about that except gripe and complain and moan about it. That probably won't do you very much good. Now, what do they do moving forward? And there's 2 trains of thought for me. Number 1, there's the train of thought where, all right, they're going to roll over and die. Coach is on the hot seat talk. General manager is on the hot seat talk. Reports coming out, even there was one today, earlier this evening, that the locker room is going to rebel, which, again, I don't believe. I'm in that locker room quite a bit. I don't believe it's, as that report made it out to be by Jordan Schultz. We will talk about it, but I don't believe it necessarily. That's one line of thinking. The other, and the one I'm more prone to look at, again, trying not to be so negative. All right, you have an Indianapolis team coming in here on Sunday that hasn't won a game in Duval County since 2014. You're inducting Tom Coughlin into the pride of the Jaguars. You're wearing the throwback unis. You're at home for only the 2nd time this year. Is it far-fetched to believe the Jaguars are going to win the game? Of course not. They're the favorites. It's not far-fetched at all. So hypothetically, let's say you do get it done. You're 1-4. Then you go to London. Chicago's 2-2, but they haven't been very good. Caleb Williams has never played in London. New England's awful, even though they won on opening day. They've looked awful ever since. You get them in London. Are the Jaguars going to be 3-4? I'm not necessarily saying that. I'm just pointing out to you that it's not far-fetched. It doesn't take a great leap of faith to say, all right, 0-4 sucks. We're the last winless team in the NFL. But now you're finally not playing teams that made the playoffs last year. You're into one of the easier parts of the schedule. If the schedule is valleys and mountains, well, you just were on a mountain, right, with 4 straight playoff teams from a year ago. Now you're coming down that mountain clearly in a valley with a home game against the Colts and London games against Chicago and New England. And if, again, gigantic if, but if the Jaguars do get to 3-4, well, at that point, it's a brand new season. At that point, it's a brand new ball game. At that point, you are right in the mix for a wild card at 3-4. Will that happen? I probably wouldn't bet on it. I'm just simply pointing out to you that it's not far-fetched to believe that it could happen. Obviously, the Jaguars have to play better. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence has to play better. They need to get healthier. There's a lot of things that need to transpire to go from 0-4 to 3-4. And it obviously is one at a time beginning this Sunday with Indianapolis. But the NFL, man, the law of averages to me will tell you at some point you're not going to experience heartbreak every week like the Jaguars seemingly have. At some point, the ball will bounce in your direction. At some point, you will get a critical call from an official. And I believe the law of averages might come into effect on Sunday here against Indianapolis. You're playing an Indianapolis team with a struggling quarterback, a banged-up Indianapolis team. You're inducting Coughlin into the Pride. You're fired up about the throwback unis. If you don't win this game, dude, I'm not sure what to tell you there. You get to 0-5, there is no more optimism. There's not much at 0-4 other than does not take a giant leap to think you could win at home against Indy and win the London games against Chicago and New England. Denmark, I'm normally not a teal Kool-Aid guy. I'm not a teal and black blinders Jaguar homerism guy. But you and I talked earlier. You're kind of along the same line of thinking. It isn't far-fetched to believe that they could win each of the next 3 games.
No, you always hear the terms, you are what your record is, and I kind of never really believe in that. There's a lot of teams that are worse than Jacksonville, but you wouldn't be able to tell by our record. I know you can sit here all the time and we talk about the games. I mean, Jacksonville's literally 3 plays away from being 3-1. And, things can be a lot better, yes, but Indy's banged up. Indy didn't, yes, they did, beat the Steelers, which was, a good win for them, but I'm confident, man. I don't know why. I think Brian Thomas Jr. can get to the Colts secondary, and I think they can get a roll like they did last year. Remember last year, they didn't start the season like they wanted to. They went to London, and they went back-to-back games, and they kind of went on a roll. I don't think they're going to get on a roll, but 3-4 is not too far-fetched. It's the NFL. It's any given Sunday, and the game, the league is not made to where you should win and lose, 4 and 5 consecutive weeks.
Well, 3-4 would be phenomenal right now. I think your hardest game, honestly, on paper is probably this Sunday. The Colts, to me, are better than Chicago. They beat them. The Colts, to me, are clearly better than the Patriots. My thing about the law of averages does apply to Jacksonville. It also applies to Indy. At some point, Indianapolis is going to come in here and win a football game. September of 2014, man, is the last time the Colts won a game here. Now, one of those games was in London, but every other game was here. There was a 6-0 Jaguars win there. Remember 2020 opening day? The only Jaguar win that season came against Phillip Rivers and Indy. 2021, all Indy had to do was win the final game of the year, and Trevor Lawrence beat them to knock them out of the playoffs. I wish Indy would have won a game or 2 here in the last decade, because I can tell you, talking to some folks in Indianapolis this week, that's a lot of what they're talking about. That's basically all of what they're talking about, this streak in Jacksonville and needing to come to an end. That is a talking point in the Colts locker room. And we'll see. Colts-Jags, Sunday, 1 o'clock. You'll hear it right here on 1010XL. Let's continue the Jaguar talk. Let's continue the talk around the AFC South with Jared Bailey of the Sporting News, one of my favorites to talk NFL with. Jared keeps it real, man. He doesn't sugarcoat a whole lot. We love having him on, and he joins me next. It is a Tuesday night in Jacksonville, Florida, and we're glad you're with us with Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you, Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
He's fearless in the face of danger when entering enemy territory.
What is your mission?
Get insights and interviews from Jags beat reporter Hayes Carline when he takes you behind enemy lines. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab Crab House.
Awaken 180 weight loss. Awaken 180 weight loss. You know, February 20th, 317. I've had that number kind of burned into my mind. I was 317 pounds when I started on Awaken 180 on February 20th. Here we are on October 1st. This morning, I was 218 pounds. I've lost 99 pounds. Well, technically 98.8, but you know what? I'm going to round up to 99. It's unreal, man. It's absolutely unreal. And it's all thanks to Awaken 180. They've changed my life. They've saved my life. And I don't say that lightly. If you need to lose a ton of weight like I did, or if you need to lose a little bit of weight, any point in between, take it from a guy that's lost 100 pounds on this program. Do yourself a favor, do your family a favor, and go to Awaken180weightloss.com.
This election, if you want someone who will take care of the messes, someone who isn't afraid to get dirty and work in the trenches, someone who will pump out the problems and prevent future ones, vote for the Duck.
Need your septic tank serviced? Call DuckDuckRooter, your 5-star Google-rated septic company. Visit DuckDuckRooter.com.
I approve this message.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. DuckDuckRooter.com.
Attention skilled electricians, are you undervalued at your current company? Time to step up to the bigger projects and better opportunities. Join the team at Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering not just a job, but an experience, top-notch pay, unbeatable benefits, and the best working environments in the business. Please join the team that values your skills and rewards your hard work. Elevate your career to new heights. Apply today at millercareers.com, an equal opportunity employer.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Multi-unit hair grafting is now available at IHRS and can give you 3 times more hair in one procedure over a traditional hair transplant.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
You can grow your hair back with this exclusive new procedure. Call for a free evaluation. Call IHRS 904-777-IHRS 777-IHRS 777-4477.
Have you tried golfing at the improved Cimarron Golf Club? If you haven't, tell you what, you're missing out on the best deal in Jacksonville. Now, many of you have received a postcard in the mail, and of course, if you bring that with you, $45 plus tax to play. That includes a cart, lunch, and a beer at the brand new Stone Barrel Tap House. Now, go to the website, that is CimarronGolfClub.com, and sign up for the Wild One Loyalty Program. That's the Wild One Loyalty Program, and get all of these specials emailed to you from Cimarron.
Spend lunchtime with the ladies.
Hey, where's your sense of adventure?
They don't cook, but they serve up spicy sports talk.
Sure, it's on the menu.
Helmets and heels.
That is a meal.
Switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans on 1010XL.
3D Digital has you covered for any of your business's digital marketing needs. From producing award-winning videos to getting those digital ads to follow your customers around the internet, our team has your back. Visit 3ddigital.com or give us a call at 904-712-4004 to schedule a free consultation today. 904-712-4004.
Here's your 1010XL community calendar of local events and nonprofit groups helping people here at home.
Help make Jacksonville safer and play a round of golf at the First Coast Crime Stoppers Golf Tournament, October 21st at Amelia River Club.
If you're a dog lover who wants to help animals, our furry friends need exercise and time out of their kennels. You can make a difference in a dog's life at volunteer@jaxhumane.org.
There's a critical need for all blood types. Please consider donating to a local blood donation center.
Dreams Come True is the only local wish-granting organization giving dreams and special times to local children battling life-threatening illnesses. Find out how you can help at dreamscometrue.org.
Her Song is a nonprofit organization that breaks the cycle of human trafficking through survivor care, victim outreach, and education. Find out how you can help at hersong.org.
You can find out how to share your community event at 1010XL.com.
Roof damage? Call before you claim. Greenlaw Group, fighting insurance companies for you. They will work for you when you have roof damage. Don't let your insurance deny you. Don't call an adjuster. Call Greenlaw Group at 904-302-7055. Remember, if you have roof damage, call Greenlaw Group before you claim. They've settled millions and will work hard to get your claim and new roof. Greenlaw Group. Call before you claim. 904-302-7055.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Colts, Sunday at 1 o'clock. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL. The Jaguars 0-4 on the year and probably are the biggest disappointment to date in the 2024 NFL season. With that, Jared Bailey of the Sporting News, always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Jared, how we doing?
I'm doing well. Apparently, I'm doing a lot better than Jaguars fans are, which is not what I expected to say a week 4. You know, I was pretty high on Jacksonville coming into the year, but yeah, it's not looking great at the moment.
Jared, it's a disaster, man. It's a nightmare. I mean, whatever verbiage you want to use, there's a lot of things to break down with you, but in totality, I mean, what are your thoughts as to how the Jaguars got to where they are now at 0-4?
It just feels like everybody's checked out. Like Doug Peterson, especially, you know, yesterday in the presser, you know, somebody had asked if he was going to maybe take over the headset just to switch some things up, to which he, of course, raced to the defensive press Taylor and was like, I thought he called a great game. Why would I do that? And very much like put the blame on the players. It was very evident that he was like, look, we can do all the coaching, but the players have to make plays. So he's just pushing off any sort of accountability whatsoever. And it just feels like we're seeing kind of a repeat of what happened when he was eventually fired from Philadelphia. So I think that there's a lot of things that have gone wrong to this point. Obviously, you know, they ran into a buzzsaw in Buffalo last Monday night where they didn't have any sort of, you know, physicality to really counter them with. And the Bills really live and die by just being a really finesse good defense. And they took advantage of that. And their offense just put up a ton of points. And now with Houston, obviously they had a chance to, you know, just take a field goal on 4th and goal. They decided not to, and that came back to bite them. But the thing that's standing out to me is that Trevor Lawrence with every week looks less and less confident. And that's alarming, especially because I believe in the talent of Trevor Lawrence. And I think that they were smart to give him that money and lock him down. I think that he is, you know, a long-term franchise quarterback who can be their answer. But you just look at some of the throws he's missing. He missed a wide open Christian Kirk yesterday on what could have been a potential touchdown on an overthrown ball. And we're seeing more of that from Trevor, where his decision making, it feels like he's second guessing himself. It feels like his mechanics have been a little bit off as well, where, you know, the offensive line isn't doing him any favors, and he's probably a little bit fidgety in the pocket because he doesn't know if he's going to have enough time with each drop back. So there's a lot of stuff that's wrong with Jacksonville right now, but it all boils back down to the lack of accountability from the head coach. And I think it's just translating down and just trickling down into the players where they don't believe in themselves. And that's a recipe for disaster. And that's why they're 0-4.
Jared Bailey of the Sporting News here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. You know, one of the things that Doug Peterson said after the game against Houston was he was asked about the play calling, as you mentioned, and he came to defensive press Taylor. But then he made a comment, I'm paraphrasing here, not the exact quote, but essentially it's a two-way street, right? We can only call plays. Players have to make plays. And a lot has been made of that surrounding an 0-4 team. How do you think those comments will be received in the Jaguar locker room?
I mean, we've already seen, I think it was Travis Etienne a few weeks ago where, you know, somebody had asked him like, hey, I mean, you guys got talent, you know, when's it going to come together? And he's like, well, we don't need, you know, guys that are talented. We need dudes that play as a team. And I'm paraphrasing that as well. That's probably not the exact quote, but yeah, we're already seeing just a lot of what feels like tension. And there was a picture from the Monday night game where it showed Trevor Lawrence coming off the field and just glaring at Doug Peterson. Like, I just don't think these guys are bought into what he's doing. And it feels like there's a clear and obvious reason for that when the blame is always deflected toward them. He's not doing a good job of coaching. The play calling hasn't been great from Press Taylor. And again, that all trickles down and it affects everybody. I just think that coming into this season, they had an opportunity to right a lot of wrongs. And there was a lot of built-in reasons why they struggled on the back end of last season. Trevor Lawrence was hurt, not just the ankle, but he had the concussion as well during the year. He had a bruised knee at one point in the year. I think he had a hip as well. So he was beat up. The offensive line was bad, and they just couldn't overcome that. So that was like kind of the built-in, I don't want to say excuse, because they were legit reasons. Now you've won one game in your last, 9?
Yeah, 1 out of 10. They've lost 9 out of 10.
So it's at some point that falls back on the head coach. And, if you are 1-10 or 1-9, 1-10, whatever it is in your last however many games, like there's not a lot of coaches that'll survive that. And not only should Doug Peterson go, but Trent Baalke's got to go too. This has been a bad example of team building. They didn't do enough up front to make sure that they fix the offensive line. Anton Harrison just continues to regress, and that's not looking good. So if you're going to throw out, if you're going to get rid of Doug Peterson, you got to get rid of Trent Baalke as well, and then bring in somebody who, might be right for the job. Maybe you give Ryan Nielsen, a nice, 3-month audition to see if he's the right guy and find a GM to pair with him. I don't know what the answer is right now. I feel like that's kind of the direction they're trending in, especially if they lose in week 5, or maybe they'll do it before week 5. Who knows? Shad Khan gave that emphatic speech in front of the team where he said the time to win is now, and they're 0-4. So maybe the Khans have had enough of the Doug Peterson experience and just want to rip the Band-Aid off. See what Ryan Nielsen can do, because defensively, outside of the Buffalo game, the defense has done their job. Again, they kind of ran into a buzzsaw in Buffalo that was just unstoppable, and they didn't have any way to counter it. But overall, I think Ryan Nielsen's done a fine job, and if they want to see if he's the guy going forward, which kind of feels like a Jaguars move, they usually do, those types of move where they'll go the interim coach and then just name him the head coach. So it hasn't necessarily worked out in the past. We'll see if they try that formula again, but I wouldn't expect Doug Peterson to be around much longer, especially if they drop to 0-5.
Jared, as far as Trevor Lawrence goes, and you alluded to it earlier, and you and I have had this talk about him this offseason, we fight the good fight down here. We defend Trevor. It's getting harder to do that. I mean, look, when you get paid what he got paid, and that is part of the equation, right? That money, there's a responsibility there. And my gosh, man, he had 2 guys that were wide open on Sunday. Brian Thomas Jr., who he missed in the corner of the end zone. The Christian Kirk one was even more egregious. You got to make those plays. I mean, you can talk about play calling and Doug and Press, and I agree with you. There are problems there. But at the end of the day, your franchise quarterback missed a couple of wide open throws that franchise quarterbacks cannot miss, and he's doing it time and time again. And I got real questions now about Trevor Lawrence moving forward.
Yeah, and I think that it's understandable to have them, especially when if it's one game, okay, whatever, every quarterback has a bad game, even 2 games, like, okay, he's in a slump. But when this is week 4 now. Week 1 in Miami, I think he played really well. He made some really good throws. But the last 3 weeks, he's looked sluggish, and that is concerning. I don't know if you want to chalk that up to, the things that we've already talked about, where I don't want to say Trevor's checked out. I don't think he is, but the whole trickle down thing where it's just like, all right, well, if he's dropping back and constantly under pressure, he's going to rush himself. He's not going to get his footwork right. That's going to lead to some bad throws. But I mean, and you know me, man, I'm as big a Trevor Lawrence defender as there is, but you are right in saying that, yeah, they gave him all that money for a reason. It's because he is capable of making these plays. And we've seen it time and time again from Trevor, being able to make those throws and keep them in games and keep them relevant with his arm. And, they bring in Brian Thomas Jr. Christian Kirk's obviously still very good. So they upgraded in terms of weapons, I would say. And he's just kind of missing right now. Again, it could be, just a slump. Perhaps that's all it is. But when your team's 0-4, those things are going to be put under a microscope a lot more. And, what did he do? 18 of 33 yesterday, less than 200 yards. He threw 2 touchdowns, and that's great. But there were missed opportunities. There were points left on the field. There was, meat left on the bone for the Jaguars. And, well, some of that does boil down to Trevor, and he does need to make those plays. So now they're going into a game against a division opponent where if they don't win, I mean, you could say that their season's all but over right now. fans don't want to do that, obviously, and they want to believe in the team, don't want to do that. But, if they go to 0-5, man, I mean, that's a hole that you can't dig out of.
Final moments, Jared Bailey of the Sporting News. You mentioned Indianapolis, and I want to get there in a moment. But if there is any silver lining, and again, it's hard to find one, you mentioned Brian Thomas Jr. Boy, Jared, it looks like they found one there with the 23rd pick in round number 1. That guy looks like he's going to be a pretty good one.
Yeah. In terms of what he's done, he's definitely been the light at the end of the tunnel, I guess, for the Jaguars. That, all right, well, at least they have a franchise receiver in Brian Thomas, where he's done nothing but make plays this year. He had a really nice touchdown in week 1. He had a bunch of catches yesterday. He looks like a stud. And again, it comes down to building the chemistry with Trevor Lawrence and getting on the same page and figuring stuff out. But that does seem to be something that they did right, was find a legit number 1 guy in Brian Thomas. And now it's just about, if and when they do decide to shake things up and bring in somebody new, are they going to bring in, a more offensive-minded head coach again? Are they going to lead to the defensive-minded side of things? Maybe go the Houston route and, try to poach somebody from San Francisco as the offensive coordinator and head coach. I don't know what they're going to do. There's a long list of guys that you can bring in and help, the relationship between Trevor and Brian Thomas. But so far, man, yeah, he's been a stud, and that is a very good sign for the Jaguars. At least they know that they have guys that can go out, get open, create separation, and make the plays downfield. It's just a matter of the quarterback being able to find them and not miss them when those opportunities are there to be made.
If I were to tell you, because a lot of talk down here about Belichick, but Belichick's the head coach with McDaniels and Mike Vrabel as the coordinators, what would you say?
I mean, it's kind of funny. I'm not completely sold on a Josh McDaniels hired offensive coordinator. I don't know, man. I think that's a little bit of a pipe dream. I think that in terms of Bill Belichick, yes, he's the greatest coach of all time, but it also felt like the game kind of passed him by a little bit in New England. Obviously the defenses are still very good, but he was also, very much in charge of putting those offenses together, and we saw how that went. So I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. I think that the Cons will look towards the route of, all right, let's see if, is Clint Kubiak ready for a job? Is Bobby Slowick in Houston? Would he, maybe be ready for a job? Could they maybe poach Ben Johnson? Ben Johnson has talked about he's not just going to take any sort of job with any team and with any quarterback. The situation has to be right. And, for even as poorly as Trevor's played in the past couple of weeks, I think he's still a good quarterback. And if I'm Ben Johnson, that's a quarterback I would want to work with. That's an offense I could see myself working with that, just needs a few more upgrades up front to, get back to being really good. So I don't know. I don't think I necessarily buy all the Belichick stuff. And again, I think that there's a reason why teams were like, yeah, we understand that Bill is the greatest coach of all time, but at the same time, this is a forward-moving league, and it feels like Bill's kind of stuck in his ways, and I just don't know if that would necessarily be the right hire, as crazy as it sounds.
By the way, no, I agree with you. I'm a Ben Johnson guy. I just think here locally, it is interesting that Belichick, McDaniels, and Vrabel are all very available, right? And if Belichick
I think the Vrabel thing would make more sense for me, because that's a guy who I was very shocked when Tennessee fired him to begin with. I think that was more of just a tug of war game with ownership that he lost. So I think that Vrabel would be the one that would make the most sense to me because of what he did in Tennessee and was able to get a lot of teams to overachieve there. So if any, former, Patriot player, coach, what have you, is going to be the head coach, I think that Mike Vrabel makes the most sense.
Jared Bailey of the Sporting News. Jared, final question. Indianapolis comes in here on Sunday. All the Jaguars can do is take it one game at a time, and the next game is Indy. We don't know yet Anthony Richardson or Joe Flacco, although based on reports on Monday morning, it seems like Richardson might be a lot closer to playing than maybe we would have thought after Sunday. I almost think, and this sounds crazy, the Jaguars probably want Anthony Richardson out there, right? I mean, Flacco put a 30-burger on him last year. With the way the Jaguars' lack of pass rush is, I almost think they have a better shot. I don't know if they're going to win regardless, by the way, even though Indy hasn't won here in a decade. But I would almost take my chances with Richardson over Flacco. Is that wild?
Oh, I mean, styles make fights. So if Joe Flacco has all day to sit back there and throw, which, by the way, he very much did against Pittsburgh, kudos to the Colts offensive line that were just able to really take advantage and shut down the Steelers pass rush yesterday, with the exception of a few plays. So I think that the reason the Colts decided to hold Richardson out is because they were up 17-0. They didn't feel any sort of need to rush him back in. If it was a closer game, maybe they would have. But Flacco took care of business for the Colts against Pittsburgh. Yeah, Anthony Richardson's a weird case. Like, I've done a few different spots, podcasts, what have you. And to me, like, Anthony Richardson this year has just been like Will Levis with better PR, where like Anthony Richardson gets all the hype, but he makes like equally the amount of dumb decisions. Like, he leads the NFL in interceptions thrown, but he also leads the NFL in average air yards per attempt. Like, he's letting this thing fly and he's trying to make big plays, but sometimes it's just biting him in the butt. He's obviously incredibly athletic and very skilled. It's just a matter of honing that in to become a good quarterback. So if Jacksonville can't get to the quarterback, then yeah, that's probably, I don't think it's too crazy of you to say. But if they are able to get to Anthony Richardson and he breaks out and starts running all over him, then that's going to be a whole other separate, list of issues. So, yeah, their backs are very much against the wall. I don't even think their backs are against the wall. I think they're starting to just cave into the wall at this point, where they absolutely need something to start digging themselves out. And if they get Joe Flacco, I think that, you might be able to bait him into making a few bad decisions. He threw a lot of picks last year in Cleveland, despite, also throwing a lot of touchdowns. So maybe they can do that. But at this point, if they don't win against Indy, you just got to blow this thing up and, like I said, let Ryan Nielsen maybe have an audition and go from there. But this is as much of a must win in week 5 as you can get.
Jarrett, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville, man, sporting news, what you have coming up this week heading into week number 5.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter for all the stuff at JBaileyNFL. Going to be doing a sit down with Max Crosby tomorrow, so that will be coming out within the week. That'll be a lot of fun. And yeah, just follow me on Twitter at JBaileyNFL for everything.
He's one of our favorites, Jarrett Bailey of the Sporting News. Jarrett, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time. We'll talk again soon.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it.
A sturdy defense keeps your end zone safe like a superior fence keeps your family and pets safe.
It's fantastic.
After the game, catch the Superior Fence and Rail Defensive Player of the Game.
What a baller.
On 1010XL.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Let's start the debate. Why would someone buy a new car from you? We have an exclusive 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty on every new vehicle. We offer a competitive wow price plus free oil changes. How much will someone get for their trade? We offer more than $4,000 over KBV value. Well, we never lose a trade over price. Okay, when is the best time to buy a car? Right now. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter which side you pick. At Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet, you get it all. Let us show you why we're the winning vote.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 5-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now graduate making over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There's no tuition or no student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost are the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org, and you can apply there.
Apply by November 7th.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool? Today's contestant, a dust bunny breeder from Jacksonville, Florida, meet Steve Johnson. Welcome to the show, Steve.
It's great to be here, Alex.
Yeah, you don't have to answer in the form of a question, Steve.
What is this game show?
See, that's another question.
Are you going to ask me about air conditioners?
Yeah, okay. How about we just send the Bueller guys over and you can annoy them with all your questions? Johnny?
That's right, Steve. Bueller Air and Plumbing can answer all your air conditioning questions. Repair options, replacement models, and how to make your AC last longer while saving electricity. Making sure you are cool.
Where is the parking lot?
You're killing me, Steve.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Meet Jennifer, talking about her experience with BioTarget Regenerative Therapy at Injury Care Centers.
I'm a music teacher and play the piano, and I was unable to play the piano at all due to pain from carpal tunnel. I did notice a significant difference after the first treatment. I was in immense pain and unable to work, and I woke up the following day able to fully move my wrist again. I was a pill popper. I would take ibuprofen all the time to help manage my pain, and it did not really do a great job. what really sold me was knowing that if it was not successful, I'd be able to get all of my money back. So I would highly recommend it to anybody who's experiencing any type of pain.
Stop masking your pain with harmful medications. There's a better solution. BioTarget Regenerative Therapy has helped countless others, and it can help you too. Call 904-92-REGEN or visit GoBioTarget.com today.
Tony Baselli gets up early Monday morning to share a big football breakfast with you.
Some French toast and sausage patties.
Hall of Fame Monday, 7:20 with Dan and Jeff on the Drill. Brought to you by Heritage Roofing of North Florida on 1010XL.
Brian Wall here with Window World. You know that awesome feeling when you finally find that one place to go to that will give you a top quality product at a great price and then stand behind what they sell you? That's exactly what Window World does. Top quality, energy efficient windows at a great price that keeps more of your money in your bank account. With the absolute best guarantee in the window replacement business. That's why Window World has been the #1 window replacement company in the USA for years, selling more than 1 million windows each year for the past 8 years. That's a lot of satisfied customers, and you can be one too. Save money on installing new energy-efficient windows and save on your energy bills too. You can't lose. And if anything goes wrong with your new Window World windows ever, Window World and I will be there to make it right. Call Window World today or see them online and have them come and give you a free estimate and see why we are so proud of our products and the work we do for our customers. Call Window World or go online at windowworldneflorida.com. And thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
Hey folks, this is Dave Benyon with my son Ammon here from Zero Res. Ammon, you've been cleaning air ducts for a while now. What are some of the reasons customers might consider getting their air ducts cleaned?
There are many reasons. Many times, people suffer needlessly from poor indoor air quality produced by the conditions in their air system. Construction dust, the presence of bacterial growth, and years' worth of buildup all come together to make your air ducts a pretty gross place. If you suffer from allergies, have recently moved, recently remodeled, or have never had your air ducts cleaned, then now is the best time to call. By calling Zero Res, you'll have the peace of mind of knowing that you called the best of the best. Our state-of-the-art truck mount system and top-of-the-line service representatives simply can't be found anywhere else. Google Zero Res and read thousands of 5-star reviews.
So what kind of deals can I expect?
Just mention that you heard us on the radio, and we'll give you $100 off your air duct cleaning.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty great deal. Remember, folks, Zero Res,
spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
CEROREZ. Zero Res.
Jacksonville, are you ready? The college basketball season is tipping off with an epic in-state showdown. The Florida Gators and South Florida Bulls go head-to-head in the Jacksonville Sports Foundation Invitational. Be there Monday, November 4th at Veterans Memorial Arena and witness this in-state rivalry live. Secure your seats now at Ticketmaster.com. It's Florida versus South Florida to start the college basketball season on November 4th in Jacksonville. Get your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
College football talk coming up in 1 second. I was just looking at some numbers here. That's what I do. I'm a little bit of a statistician, maybe a fantasy football nerd. Our guy Calvin Ridley up with the Titans. Now, the Titans celebrated a win last night. They've got one win in the win column, certainly better than we do here in Jacksonville. But for people that haven't seen Calvin Ridley, $92 million is what he signed for in Tennessee. 4 games in for Calvin Ridley. He's got 9 catches for 141 yards and 1 touchdown. He had 1 catch for, I believe, 5 yards last night. So 9 for 141 and 1 touchdown for Calvin Ridley. Meanwhile, Brian Thomas here in Jacksonville, who would not be here had Tennessee not come in and gotten Calvin Ridley. Jaguars would not have taken Brian Thomas if they had not lost Ridley. Brian Thomas, 17 grabs for 275 yards and 2 touchdowns. 8 more catches, 130 more yards, and an extra score in 4 games so far. Brian Thomas versus Calvin Ridley. Now, in the stat that matters for the team, win-loss, obviously the Titans are 1-3, the Jaguars are 0-4. But I'll be interested to follow that Brian Thomas versus Calvin Ridley thing because, again, if Calvin Ridley resigns like everybody expected before Tennessee came in at the 11th hour and took him, Jaguars aren't drafting Brian Thomas Jr. And I think the Jaguars have found an absolute gem with Brian Thomas Jr. More on the NFL coming up in the 9 o'clock hour. Travis Holmes, Big Cat Country, will join us in a little less than 25 minutes or so. Rick Ballou comes up towards the top of the 9 o'clock hour to talk Florida State Clemson as we make the shift to college football. Florida and UCF on Saturday. Boy, this game looks a lot different now than it did 3 or 4 days ago. I was stunned at what happened to UCF on Saturday in Orlando. Just stunned. UCF was 3-0 coming off a comeback win at TCU. They had a bye week. They're on national TV in Orlando at the Bounce House. Everything right in front of them. All the hype for UCF. And Coach Prime and the Buffaloes went in there and absolutely spanked them. Just beat them to a pulp, man. So now, not only is this game big for Florida, it might be even more important because UCF is not as good as we all thought they probably were. Florida coming off a bye week, coming off a win on the road at Mississippi State. They have 3 games left before another bye week and the cocktail party. 2 of those games are at home. They go UCF at home, at Tennessee, which is at night up there. That's going to be lambs to the slaughter. And then home against Kentucky, which that game looks a lot different now after Kentucky went into Ole Miss and won last week. But stay with me. Again, I talk about Jacksonville. It doesn't take a great leap to think Jacksonville could, not saying they will, but they could win their next 3. Well, the same applies to Florida, doesn't it? Not winning the next 3, but winning 2 of the next 3. Am I taking a giant leap and saying Florida can beat UCF in Gainesville? No. Is it preposterous to think Florida could beat Kentucky in Gainesville? No. Now, it is preposterous to think that Florida is going to go to Knoxville on a Saturday night and beat Tennessee. That's not going to happen. But if Florida does win these 2 home games, 4-3, going to the bye, I think at that point, that buys Billy Napier the remainder of the season. If you lose the next 3, Billy's probably gone the Sunday after Kentucky. Because at that point, you're 2-5 and the season's over. 3-4, I don't know. But I do think 4-3, Billy's probably bought himself the remaining 5 games just to see. Just for the heck of it, to see if they can pull off an upset or 2. Denmark, you agree with that? You of the award-winning Denmark and Marsh podcast on 1010XL.com. I do enjoy that, by the way. I really mean that.
Appreciate it.
You agree with that, that if Florida gets to 4-3, if they beat UCF, beat Kentucky, Billy probably has got the rest of the year?
Yeah, that'd be kind of, maybe. It wouldn't be smart to let him go after you go 2-1 these next 3 weeks.
And again, that's not far-fetched, right?
No, I would say something's very odd with this UCF game because I know you don't really look at it, but Florida was a 2-point favorite going into the game last weekend. I know it was a week out. UCF's now a 2.5-point favorite. So something strange as to why UCF is the favorite. I mean,
yeah, I don't know.
Something's not right there.
They got boat raced by Colorado. And yeah. I don't think Colorado's anything special. To me, the luster's off UCF.
Yeah, well, in the NFL, usually if you get embarrassed, you come back better the following week. But, I mean, Colorado just ran the ball at will on UCF. Like, that was almost shocking. Colorado hasn't done that since Deion's gotten there.
Well, the last time I checked, too, it's not as if Colorado had the steel curtain. They don't have the 85 Bears on that defense. Nebraska probably proved that a couple weeks ago. And Colorado did a very good job against that UCF rushing attack, which was number 1 in the country coming into the year.
Yeah, I mean, after that game, I always thought that Florida UCF was 50-50, and, the final score was going to be like 48-45, a shootout. And I was confident Florida's going to win after that Colorado game, and now I'm like, something's not right with that spread, so I don't know.
It'll be a fun week. You got Florida UCF, you got Georgia Auburn, both teams coming off just gut-wrenching losses. Miami goes all the way to Berkeley to take on Cal. For some reason, game day's there, which is weird. That's a 10:30 Eastern time start Saturday night. Hurricane fans, you better get some rest on Saturday. And you got Florida State Clemson. And with that, let's welcome in the truth teller, Rick Ballou. He's next. Let's talk Florida State. Let's talk Clemson. 1-4. 1-4. How bad's it going to get? The tough part of the Seminoles schedule is coming up. Ugh. Begins Saturday with Clemson, with Brock Glenn as the quarterback. We'll talk Florida State Clemson next. Rick Ballou joins us. Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
That's right, I'm Tommy Mack, and it's all about Duval and defense. Offense, special teams, baby. Check me out every Friday from 10 to noon on Jaguars Today.
Brought to you by Renewal by Anderson Windows and Doors on 1010XL. Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Ballou here for Smunez Vision. Why Smunez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smunez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smunez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smunez is fellowship trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmunezVision.com today. Care you can see.
The coolers are full at your local Gate gas station, making it easy for you to cruise in and cruise out with little downtime. Ice cold Coronas, Natty Light, Stella Artois, and Michelob Ultra. Don't forget the king of beers, Cold Buds. Gate's got them in the cooler, waiting for you.
October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and LifeLock is here to elevate your protection game. Using the same simple password across all your accounts, that's risky. While updating your passwords to be more unique is a good start, true peace of mind comes with LifeLock. LifeLock doesn't just alert you to suspicious activity, but monitors for more uses of your personal info and will fix identity theft issues that arise, guaranteed or your money back. Secure your identity today with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS. Terms apply.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Mia here. The name to remember this hurricane season is Pro Jax Roofing. Your neighbors have relied on Mike for 25 years to repair or replace their roofs. When you call Pro Jax Roofing, you only talk to Mike. No expensive salespeople. You always get the best price for your project. For the lowest insurance rates, a free wind mitigation report is always given with your roof replacement. Pro Jax Roofing wishes you a safe hurricane season. And if needed, Mike is here to help. Call today for a free estimate or go online at projaxroofingfl.com.
3D Digital has you covered for any of your business's digital marketing needs. From producing award-winning videos to getting those digital ads to follow your customers around the internet, our team has your back. Visit 3ddigital.com or give us a call at 904-712-4004 to schedule a free consultation today. 904-712-4004.
Googan Nation, it's Dreamfinders Danny Hicken here to tell you this is no dream. The folks at Dreamfinders Homes right now have an unbeatable interest rate for you. You may not think you can afford a Dreamfinders home. Well, think again. Take advantage of a 2.99% year one rate. I said it, 2.99%. 15 Jacksonville communities to choose from. Find that dream house and take advantage of an unbeatable rate. Move now, literally. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Thermal Engineers is hiring. Thermal Engineers is a commercial HVAC contractor serving North Florida for over 20 years. Qualified technicians and installers. How does top pay, 401k, and full benefits sound, and a signing bonus? Is it time for a positive change in your career? Join the family-oriented commercial HVAC contractor at Thermal Engineers. Call 230-1172 or go to Thermal Engineers, Inc., an equal opportunity employer.
Atlantic Self-Storage, the official storage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Need to make room to watch football in your home or need a place to park your boat or RV? Store it all at Atlantic Self-Storage. Over 50 locations in Northeast Florida. 24-hour access, all with month-to-month leases. Moving, they can help with supplies. They make storage easy. Go to AtlanticSelfStorage.com or call 877-WE-STORE to find a storage solution near you. Go Jags!
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. Are you tired of wrestling with your old shower curtain? Then say goodbye to the curtain chaos and hello to a new frameless shower enclosure. Wago Glass is clear, classy, and won't stick to you like a toddler at bedtime. Plus, it makes your bathroom look bigger and brighter. Upgrade your shower experience and step into style. Call me at Baker Glass and get ready to love your new glass shower enclosure. Baker Glass, no one treats you better.
If your IT, data security, and your office copiers are operating perfectly, you must have hired ABS, Advanced Business Solutions, as your technology partner.
Advanced Business Solutions. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now, the Seminole Point of View with Rick Ballou. Brought to you by Vaughn Motor Group on San Jose Boulevard. Dream it, drive it.
And with that, let's go to the Garber Auto Mall phone line. Welcome in my buddy Rick Ballou. You hear him every evening into the night with Rick Ballou here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Rick, how you doing, man?
Everything's good here, Hack. How about you?
Rick, we're good. Thank you for the time. And all right, a victory over Cal, 10 days ago. And I'm thinking, all right, 1-3. Maybe the waters have calmed a little bit. You found a way to win in the fourth quarter. Going to SMU, their first ACC game. But, welcome to big boy football. And good grief, man. I didn't see that. 42-16, and it looked like, quite frankly, there were some guys that didn't look very interested in being there in the second half. What was your takeaway?
Yeah, incredibly disappointing. It just continues for Florida State. I mean, no matter what phase of the game you talk about, it's just awful. And that includes special teams. And, I say that with the fact that they may have the best combination, punter and kicker, in college football. They're both going to go to the NFL next year. I mean, they're really good. But you look at their coverage and the mistakes they make. They get a 3-and-out. They're getting the ball back, and they're still in the game. And you get a defensive face mask on a punt, which is just absolutely absurd. And so instead of being a 3-and-out, and getting the ball, it's not like a block in the back where you keep the possession of it after the punt. It's a personal foul. Therefore, you give the ball right back to Clemson. Then, they have the errant snap on a punt, which goes over the head of their punter. So they have to do a safety kick, which is a punt. And there's not a SMU player within 15 yards of Keziah Holmes who fair catches the ball. It's just like it's a comedy of errors, their coverage and the mistakes that they make. And this includes special teams. And, you go back to Memphis. They had a chance there. They had 3 huge turnovers. They had 1 with special teams. They also made 2 huge mistakes in that game with their special teams as well. So, everything is on DJ Uiagalelei, who we know is hurt, and how poorly the offense is playing. But this team has made massive mistakes with their defense. They've also made massive mistakes with their special teams.
Rick, 13-0 9 months ago, and now I think they're going to be lucky to win 4 or 5 games. I mean, that's a drastic change in one calendar year. You follow that team as close as anybody. I mean, can you put your finger on it as to how we got here?
No, I can't. And I think now I understand that they had some really good football players a year ago, but they had a special quarterback. And they had a guy in Jordan Travis. And you can just look at examples last year of games that they just barely won, and they were such a better football team. I mean, look at that game 2 years ago against the University of Florida, where, talent-wise and record-wise, Florida State was head and shoulders better than Florida. It took that day's performance by Jordan Travis and his escapability from some of those sacks, and for him to go out and play one of the best games ever played by a Florida State quarterback to just barely get that victory against Florida. And we have seen that against some other teams. I mean, it happened with Miami last year, a game I was at in Tallahassee. It took a late touchdown pass from Travis to Keon Coleman. Duke was without Riley Leonard last year. He came in for a series and got re-injured, and it was your backup there. And again, Florida State's so much more talented than Duke, but fooled around with them. And they just found ways to win games by one possession, most of them late in the fourth quarter, because of a very talented quarterback. And we know now, without him, this team has won once since he's gone. Actually, they did beat Louisville in Florida, but since he's gone down, they have really struggled, at least early on this year.
You go into the night with Rick Ballou every night, 6 to 8 here on 1010XL. Ballou is with us also every couple of weeks here talking Florida State football on Hacker After Dark. All right, Rick, at this point, it's about hope, right? That's what the Gator fans are looking for. That's why they want to see DJ Lagway. Well, kind of the same thing for Florida State. And you hate to say, lucked into this, but, DJU has the finger, is injured, is coming out. Brock Glenn, it looks like it's his barbecue moving forward. So if nothing else, you get to see the young kid at quarterback that fans want to see.
Yeah, and, careful what you wish for, because this has been what Florida State fans have been asking for since midway through their opener in Week 0 in Dublin against Georgia Tech. I do not think Brock Glenn can play. I think this is going to be a major mistake. I think he's going to show everyone about one quarter or a half into a football game that this is just the problem that Florida State does have. I hope I'm wrong. He does have some escapability. He can get out of the pocket. As we know, DJU is statuesque in the pocket. Glenn does have the ability to move somewhat, but still, I don't think he's the answer. I watched him here for 2 days in Jacksonville. He doesn't throw a good ball. I watched him late last year. He doesn't throw a good ball. He only got 4 opportunities against SMU. But again, he looked, he looked completely out of sorts when it came to trying to run this offense. So, what I hope happens is this, Hacker, and I've really given it a lot of thought. The DJU thing is over. I hope if Brock Glenn is good enough and proves me wrong, fine, I'll be happy. But I envision him really stinking up the joint as well. And they end up going with the true freshman, Luke Kromenhoek, who's not ready yet. He needs to add some weight. He needs to become a better, pure quarterback. But I think he's the only thing that they have that you could consider being the future. The last thing that Florida State fans should want going into 2025 is hearing that Glenn and Kromenhoek are splitting snaps and you're trying to figure out who the quarterback is going to be. What I hope is that DJU leaves. Brock Glenn proves that he's not a good quarterback. You transfer somewhere. You go with Kromenhoek, and then you maybe bring in a transfer quarterback if you're concerned that he's not the guy. Because right now, outside of Jordan Davis, you look at Mike Norvell, it's a long list of quarterbacks, the Chubba Purdy's, and the list goes on and on and on, Mackenzie Milton and A.J. Duffy, and guys that just have failed miserably at Florida State. He is yet to be able to develop a quarterback. He deserves credit for Jordan Travis, and I've given him a ton of it. But outside of him, he's done nothing at quarterback.
Rick, as we begin to wrap up, the schedule to this point was probably the easier part of the schedule, right? And it's 1-4. And I'm looking at this thing, beginning with Clemson on Saturday, then at Duke, who's undefeated. Then you go at Miami, who's undefeated. North Carolina's decent. At Notre Dame, and then Charleston Southern and Florida. I'm looking for wins there. They're going to beat Charleston Southern. They're going to beat Florida because I think Florida's contractually obligated to lose every time they go to Doak Campbell. But aside from those two, this could get dicey over there, finding a couple of more wins, right?
Oh, there's no doubt. I think they have more talent than Duke. I'm not going to sit here and say Manny Diaz is a better coach right now than Mike Norvell. Manny Diaz has been fired at a couple of stops, both as a defensive coordinator and as a head coach. But right now, that would be an argument that would probably favor Manny Diaz. North Carolina gave up 70 points 2 weeks ago to James Madison. I mean, we'll see what happens here. They scored 50. That was kind of lost in it. Those are going to be tough outs. Right now, I don't care how you drum it up. You knock off Clemson, Miami, or Notre Dame, those end up being massive upsets. I mean, this is a 15-point spread here at home in 4 days. What's it going to be like when they go on the road to Miami and they go on the road when it's cold in November as well in South Bend? And you know what? I just gave you that example of a couple of years ago when it looked like Florida State was a much better team and it took incredible play by Jordan Travis to knock off the Gators. I'm not willing to admit to what you said in a rivalry matchup like this, which this could truly be the year that it really is a toilet bowl, where these teams come in with just a couple of victories apiece. We shall see. But tough times right now in Tallahassee. They keep losing recruits, and it's amazing to think that Mike Norvell, what he meant to this program a year ago and how it looked like he had turned things around. Right now, Florida State's married to this man. I mean, they got him locked up for another 6 years, $65 million. And you can't say goodbye to him. I mean, the only thing you can hope is that he turns this thing around. And right now, people don't believe that that's the case.
You go into the night every night with Rick Ballou, 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. Rick, appreciate the time, my friend. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Look forward to it. Thank you.
The truth teller, Rick Ballou, here with us on Hacker After Dark. And, yeah, you look at that schedule. I mean, Clemson was left for dead after Georgia just beat them into submission opening night. What was that, 34-3 in Atlanta? Since that game, Clemson has been absolutely on a mission. I mean, they have been flat out hurting people, including their latest victory, 40-14 over Stanford. They absolutely wiped the floor with North Carolina State. So Clemson, and by the way, Clemson's going to show no mercy for Florida State. Are you kidding me? Some of the issues the Noles have cost them in recent memory. Clemson may enjoy this one on Saturday night there at Doak Campbell Stadium. Of course, that game's at 7 o'clock. Florida, UCF at 7:45, and Miami and Cal at 10:30. So it's quite the triple header on Saturday evening for the the four big ones, right? You lump UCF in for the four big ones in the state of Florida. More college football talk coming up at the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour. Bill Bender, national college football writer for the Sporting News, joins us to look at all the action coming up here, week 6 of the college football season. Coming up next, Travis Holmes, Big Cat Country. Let's get back into the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll talk about the struggles. We'll talk about moving forward. And we'll talk about Doug Peterson. That's next, Hacker After Dark on a Tuesday, right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
In every game, there's a limited number of drives.
On fast, here we go!
And there's only one drive of the game.
That's a good old-fashioned rear-end whipping.
Listen for the Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville drive of the game on 1010XL.
Ballou for Shinatri Chiropractic. They've helped me get rid of my headaches and pain in my neck and back. Are you suffering from an auto accident? What about TMJ pain? Headaches associated with jaw clenching, grinding of the teeth, or stress-related disorders? Shinatri Chiropractic has a physical therapist on staff for rehabilitation, quality chiropractic care, dry needling, massage, and acupuncture. Call 743-6700 or go to ShinatriDC.com.
Time now for a medical recap. A health and wellness tip from Jaguars head team physician Dr. Kevin Kaplan.
Regular strength training is key to maintaining muscle mass. Like muscle building, you need to stress the muscle to maintain strength. This means lifting enough weight and doing enough reps to the point where it's too hard to do one more. Yoga and Pilates are also lower impact muscle building workouts that help maintain lean body mass and improve flexibility. Let's get moving, Jacksonville.
Hacker here, and the celebration is getting closer than I expected. On my countdown to 100 pounds. I thought it would take me a lot longer, but I'm already at 98 pounds gone. 4.5 pounds down last week alone. Next week should be epic as I do what I never thought could be done just 6 months ago. Me losing 100 pounds. What's your Awaken 180 goal? Is it hitting a number? Is it losing weight without a life of medications? Or is it just feeling better? Whatever your goal is, bring it to Awaken 180 and ask them how fast you will reach it. But Hacker, I've tried other programs and diets before. Why will Awaken 180 work? It's simple, because if I can do it, anyone can do it. Remember, when I hit that 100-pound mark, we're going to celebrate. I'll keep you updated again next week, but I have a hunch I'll be crossing that 100-pound threshold. In the meantime, pick up the phone and make your own 180. Call 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Expert Automotive on St. John's Bluff Road has some of the highest Google reviews in Jax for a reason. Expert Auto never sells greed, only what you need. All makes and models are serviced at Expert Automotive. This month, get an alignment inspection for only $19.99. Expert Auto does major engine and transmission repair and simple maintenance. All services done at Expert Auto by our ASC certified training technicians. Call today, 374-3373, and ask about $50 off any service. Expert Automotive. We never sell greed, only what you need.
Stay in touch with the stars of Coral Gables.
From South Beach to Jax Beach. Stay on A1A for the latest from Miami on the Hurricane Report.
Brought to you by Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve.
On 1010XL.
If you're looking for custom metalwork, look no further than Superior Fence and Rail. Whether it's custom railing, shade structures, or custom entry gates, their expert team controls the turnkey process. From CAD design and raw metal to powder-coated finish and expert installation. When you choose Superior Fence and Rail for your custom metal project, you get a project that's, well, superior. So get off the fence and call Superior Fence and Rail today.
Hello there. Brendan from Play It Again Sports here to congratulate all the parents for surviving another summer. The kiddos are back to school, and you know what that means? Sports are back. But don't fret. Play It Again Sports has the gear you need at prices worthy of excessive celebration. From sluggers and shooters to clappers and benders, Play It Again Sports can turn your kids into goats. Stop in today on Merrill Road near 295 or online at playitagainjax.com.
Former Jaguars corner and first-year head football coach at Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows, K-12, Aaron Beasley here. Are you looking for an A-rated K-12 school prioritizing academics, arts, and athletics? Duval Charter School at Bay Meadows offers a rigorous curriculum to develop strong minds with an additional focus on growing good hearts. DCSB has been an A school for 8 years, and our tuition is free. Now enrolling. Apply at baymeadowscharter.org.
Does the building you go to work in every day need a little love and attention? Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Great companies take great care of the buildings their staff and customers walk into every day. If the building you're in doesn't match the vision you have for your company, we can help. Go to performance-painting.com. Our highly trained team makes the difference. Quality coatings applied with pride.
Performance Painting. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line. Hello. We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The Jaguars and the Colts, Sunday, 1 o'clock. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL as the Jaguars are 0-4. That is reality, and they are still looking to get their first win of the year. Where has it gone wrong, and what is next? We'll talk about all of it with Travis Holmes of Big Cat Country. Does a great job covering the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Travis is always kind enough to give us some time here on Hacker After Dark. Travis, how you doing, man?
I wish I could say I was doing great. I could be better as a not someone who just covers the team, but also an actual fan of the Duval Devout. I'm a little stunned. I'm a little shocked. But here we are.
Yeah, look, you and I were at training camp for a lot of days together in that 100-degree weather back in July and August. And in your most nightmarish scenario imaginable within reason, Travis, if I would have told you in mid-August this team would be 0-4 and Doug Peterson would have the hottest seat in the NFL, what would you have said back then?
Interestingly enough, I probably would have told you I could see it happening. Like I could see the avenue, but I wouldn't have believed it. Let me say it in that way. Like I thought the worst case scenario going into this season was that this team was going to be maybe 1-3 coming out of these first 4 games, because I did think it was a rough opening schedule for, a brand new defense, a lot of different guys as far as that's concerned, an offense that was trying to, change their scheme or change their stripes, however you want to categorize that. So I thought that would probably the worst case scenario is 1-3. And I mean, we can slice this however you want to slice it, but we should have been there, could have been there, but we're not. And this is our new reality, unfortunately.
It is. And look, there's a lot of blame to go around. Let's begin one at a time with Doug Peterson. Doug was pretty salty with the media yesterday after the Houston game. He made the comment that's making the rounds about how it's a two-way street. Players got to perform, basically. Your thoughts on those comments and how you think that'll be received in the Jaguar locker room?
Oh, the Jaguar locker room's going to hate it. I mean, let's be clear about that. The locker room already felt like it was something that was being held together, but was by a Band-Aid, or what do you want to call it, super glued together. And that was just because, again, you start 0-3, you start kind of having these players only meetings that we've already heard about the team having last week. You already have those conversations that's happening on the back end where everything's kind of starting to get criticized. I mean, again, these players have family, they have friends. We all hear the things as far as people are talking, and they've been talking for some time. And at the end of all of it, it really just comes down to, all right, cool. We know people have questions on how this ship's going to land, and we're hoping that this, they right the ship and get the victory, and they don't. These people are human, and they have questions, and no one can seem to have the answers. That's kind of where we are. So Doug making that comment kind of, to me, just read as Doug knows the writing's on the wall. Doug feels that pressure. Doug knows 0-4 for the most part in the NFL. That kind of means you're out of the door. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but more likely than not, it's kind of a wrap. And so at that point, it just felt like Doug's just going to say exactly what he wants to say. That's my take on it. That's the way I initially read it. It's like, hey, I know you don't say that as a coach, but if you know you're out of the door, why not say it with your chest? Why not say exactly how you truly feel and not PR spin it and not put coach speak around it?
Travis Holmes of Big Cat Country. I had so many issues with some of the things that transpired against Houston. The 4th and goal was preposterous. That entire series, just to literally waste the Tank Bigsby 58-yard run. The 4-minute offense for the second time this year was horrific. They get the ball back with 4 minutes to go and do absolutely nothing with it, just like what happened in Miami on opening day. So there's plenty of blame to go around. But I'll say this, Travis, the play calling, Christian Kirk was open down the field, man. I mean, Lawrence has to hit that throw. Brian Thomas Jr. was open in the corner of the end zone. Trevor missed him. I mean, I do sympathize with the coaches in that regard. They can only call the plays, and when your quarterback's not making the throw, that's a slippery slope right there.
And that's the part that changes that makes all of this difficult, because if you're looking at this from a season perspective, yes, I understand everyone who's saying, hey, Doug, this scheme is not working. Everything, you got to change it up. You got to do something that's going to support the players. But then if I'm looking at this in an isolated incident, I'm looking at this game in comparison to the rest of the season and saying, hey, no, this game, they did what they were supposed to do as far as the game planning was concerned in most of, 90% of the plays. They made the throws easy. They let them get into a rhythm. They established the run game. They got them down to these key situations. And first, that same drive you were talking about, the 58-yard Tank Bigsby rush, on first down, if Trevor keeps that ball, that's a walk-in touchdown. He gave it to Tank, and Tank only got 2 yards on that rush. No one talks about that because they're looking at it backwards. But I rewatched the game and have the article on Big Cat Country today, the 20 takeaways from the rewatch. That's a walk-in touchdown if Trevor just keeps the ball on that read option. He chose to give it to Tank. They don't get it. We know what happens. The Gabe Davis drop on 3rd down. The quarterback draw on 4th down, which, again, to your point, terrible play call. Both guards get beat. Just rough. If you want to be a team that establishes the run, establish the run. Don't play with it. Don't get cute with it. Just do it. Run the ball between the tackles with ETN or with Tank Bigsby and let them close the game out. If you fail doing the thing you say you claim to be, a physical team.
Couple more for Travis Holmes of Big Cat Country. Travis, what's wrong with Trevor Lawrence?
I mean, at this point, I got to believe he just doesn't believe in himself. He doesn't believe in the scheme. There's a lot of things that's going on inside of him that may or may not be able to be coached out of him in a week by week basis. That's something that you got to get right in your offseason just by feeling comfortable, in an offense. Because at this point, we've seen Trevor fail to do things that we know he can do. And I don't mean like we know, like we're projecting, like, no, we've seen him do these things in college. We've seen him do these things in the NFL, complete these deep throws to these wide open receivers. And now all of a sudden he just can't do it when that's just football 101. That's pitch and catch in the backyard. And where do you go from that? Like if you have a, $275 million quarterback who's not throwing for 175 yards in an NFL game, and the vast majority of folks around him are saying, yeah, he played good enough to win. No, we're not doing that. That's Blaine Gabbert talk. That's Blake Bortles talk. We can't do that. Like, if we're going to hold him accountable, just like we're going to hold Doug accountable, then let's do that. But I don't know what you do with that because, again, it's not a mechanics thing. He's not throwing these wide arcing throws. He's just missing guys because he's just off. Maybe he's still trying to get acclimated to, one super fast BTJ versus a little bit slower, intermediate receiver like Christian Kirk. Maybe it's a few different things like that, but nevertheless, it's not working. And that's the issue Doug's trying to figure out is how do you make something work that's obviously not working? And we've tried to simplify it as best as possible.
I want to get to the Colts game in a moment, but yesterday, before the game even kicked off, Jonathan Jones of CBSSports.com had a report out where basically citing sources in the building about issues with Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson, issues surrounding other aspects of the organization. And to me, Travis, when I read those, I'm thinking, okay, not only is the team not winning, but people inside that building are talking to national media members. To me, that almost seems like kind of a CYA move. They know change is probably on the horizon, so they're trying to save their own skin a little bit. There's a lot of interesting dynamics at play here.
Well, yeah, and that's the worst part about all of this is because you're 4 games into a season, and this is, again, it makes it a little bit weirder because this is the same organization that we've seen a 2022 season where they started off ridiculously rough and found a way to find that magic and turn it around to now be in the same, if not the same, a similar situation where a team is close because you can easily argue that this Jacksonville Jaguars team should be 3-1 right now just by the ball bouncing the right way on 3 different occasions. And all of a sudden we're having a totally different situation. But now the locker room doesn't even seem to be behind. The individuals in the building are talking to national media guys, to your point, and that becomes a conversation of, are these guys checked out? Because 2022 does not happen without those guys believing. And if you don't believe, it's a wrap already.
If there is silver lining, again, I don't think there is much of one, but if there is, boy, it looks like they found one in Brian Thomas Jr.
That they have. We are actively watching this young man become a superstar. And I know that feels like a stretch to say superstar, but if we're not there, we're dang close. Because he is doing all the things that you would want a veteran receiver to do right now. Like he is putting up the numbers that we all kind of hoped that a Calvin Ridley might be putting up in 2023. And again, he is in his 4th game of his NFL career. No. I'm excited. I am ecstatic to see what this young man looks like in week 18 of this year.
Travis Holmes of Big Cat Country. Travis, the Indianapolis Colts walk in on Sunday at 2-2. Now, at the time you and I are speaking, we don't have 100% clarity on Richardson or Flacco, although I did find it interesting. The reports came out this morning that Richardson potentially could have gone back in the game yesterday, but they chose to keep him out. So it looks like Richardson will be able to play if the Colts so choose. I almost don't know, Travis, if it's not better for the Jaguars to have Richardson out there, because if Joshua Hines-Allen's in the protocol for concussions, you're not going to get any pressure on the opposing quarterback. I would take my chances with Anthony Richardson back there as opposed to Joe Flacco. What's your thought?
I would absolutely want to have Anthony Richardson be the quarterback than Joe Flacco, because at this point in time, Joe Flacco is not a guy that we want to see here in Duval County. Let's just call that what it is. The last time we saw that young man, he was essentially coming off the couch, coming out of retirement, coming out of carrying a clipboard, and just shredded up our defense. with no pass rush for a veteran quarterback, I don't want to see that man's gray hair face. I don't. So I really do hope that it is Anthony Richardson. But if you're the Colts, you probably want it to be Joe Flacco and just give Richardson all this time in the world. Like, they obviously know their team just as well as we know them. So I'd expect to see Joe Flacco, honestly. I'd expect them to say, hey, we just want to give Richardson another week to just, calm any issues down and whatever language you want to put on it. So I'd expect to see Flacco. But from a Jaguars perspective, I obviously would want to see Richardson, and hopefully we can get that, be 1-1 in the AFC South.
I said this earlier, and I don't know if I'm going to say it again the rest of the week, but look, stay with me in a hypothetical world here. They're 0-4. The season feels like it's over, and it probably is, Travis. The season's probably over. I know in like the last 32 years, only one team has started 0-4 and made the playoffs, so you really need to go on a week-by-week basis. But I'm going to go 3 weeks ahead. They have 3 very, very winnable games coming up, right? Mm-hmm. Indianapolis on Throwback Day, where Coughlin's getting inducted into the Pride, so it'll be a great day down there. Indianapolis hasn't won here in a decade, right? And who knows if Jacksonville can circle the wagons and win, but they have every opportunity to at home. And then you go to London and play 2 of the, 2 average to below average teams in Chicago and New England. So it feels like the sky is falling today. Again, your expectations over these next 3 games, because to me, saying they can win the next 3, as far-fetched as that sounds, when you actually think about it, it maybe isn't that far-fetched.
I don't think it's far-fetched at all. But these are 2, at least, if not 3 below average teams. But at least 2 of them, I would argue, the Indianapolis Colts and the Chicago Bears, I would consider to be well-coached teams, maybe even all 3 of them well-coached. Do you have that same qualifier? Do you have that same explanation of or description of what the Jacksonville Jaguars are? Do you believe that this is a well-coached team? Because in a close game, that's what it's going to come down to. And I don't know that I can necessarily put that label on the Jaguars today. And because of that, I don't see this team going 3-0 against these teams when I can't see this team just winning a game. I just want to see them put one together, and that's rough.
No, that's a good point. As we begin to wrap up with Travis Holmes of Big Cat Country. Travis, leave us with this. You write for a website for the fans, by the fans. I'm curious, your message board, your interaction with your readers. Where is the fan base at? I mean, are we going to see a lot of empty seats on Sunday?
I questioned that honestly after the Trevor Bank fiasco, after the Trevor Bank Stadium naming of the stadium on the first game, and then the person whose name's on the stadium ends up not even throwing a touchdown pass in the game, and now seeing that there's been no wins since that time. I'd have to believe that it won't be a great showing. I don't believe it's going to be like an empty stadium, because this fan base is still fanatic and they still love to gather up in the parking lots and tailgate and just put it together and hope. Because we're only 4 games in the season, but this might be the last. I mean, if you talk about this London trip and you come back with 1 win, that might be a wrap. But I can still see this fan base, as fanatic as they are, still showing up and supporting this team, despite the fact that they haven't truly earned it just yet, not in this season.
Travis, what's coming up on Big Cat Country this week as we head into the Colts game on Sunday?
Well, actually, 15 minutes before we spoke, the 20 takeaways from the rewatch of Jaguars-Texans was just posted on the site, so definitely go and take a look at that. Just talking about the offense, defense, the offensive scheme, everything across the board, kind of just all the different takeaways from rewatching the game now that the emotions have elapsed. We also have the game summary from last night. If you want to read about some anger, please feel free to go and take a look at that. All the breaking news from the week, if we get any breaking news, via Shad Khan, Trent Baalke, whoever, throughout the week, we'll definitely have you updated on that. And of course, we will then get through all the different staff roundtables and our predictions for the upcoming game against the Colts throughout the week. So definitely save and favorite the website.
Travis Holmes of Big Cat Country. Travis, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time, my friend. We'll talk again soon.
Yes, sir.
The big stories from the weekend's big games.
They're fans of football.
That's what Postgame Monday is for.
What a game. Amazing.
Brought to you by Dandy Foods, makers of quality fresh sandwiches and home of the good stuff on 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Duck Duck Rooter provides plumbing, septic, and air conditioning services across the First Coast. We have the ability to travel straight to you when you need it most. We have our community covered. Duck Duck Rooter technicians are your neighbors, friends, and family. We know you best. Understand what sets us apart from the rest. When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist is now offering ortho walk-in appointments. If you have an immediate need for orthopedic care, contact Southeast Orthopedic Specialist immediately. Avoid ERs and urgent care waiting rooms. For more information, go to se-ortho.com.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. Hurricanes happen in Florida. That's not news. But what happens even more often than hurricanes are home break-ins. And if security is important to you, you might want to look into hurricane-rated impact windows.
What you may not know is that hurricane-rated impact windows not only help protect your home in case of a hurricane, but they also offer another level of security for your home.
Have you seen those videos on YouTube that show people trying to break through an impact window? A thief is way too lazy to spend his energy trying to break through one of our impact windows. That's why he doesn't have a real job like you. He'd rather break your non-impact window while you're at work. Window World has high-quality, very affordable hurricane-rated impact windows to help protect your home from hurricanes and from lazy thieves.
Call us today at 904-443-7001. Get a free estimate and see for yourself. You save energy, get more security, and the windows add value to your home. With all Window World windows, you get the best guarantee in the window replacement business.
Window World,
simply the best for less.
And thank you for your business.
There's something special about football under the Friday night lights.
Clear eyes, full hearts.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Friday Night Lights.
Presented by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning on 1010XL.
Hey folks, this is Dave Benyon with my son Ammon here from Zero Res. Ammon, you've been cleaning air ducts for a while now. What are some of the reasons customers might consider getting their air ducts cleaned?
There are many reasons. Many times, people suffer needlessly from poor indoor air quality produced by the conditions in their air system. Construction dust, the presence of bacterial growth, and years' worth of buildup all come together to make your air ducts a pretty gross place. If you suffer from allergies, have recently moved, recently remodeled, or have never had your air ducts cleaned, then now is the best time to call. By calling Zero Res, you'll have the peace of mind of knowing that you called the best of the best. Our state-of-the-art truck mount system and top-of-the-line service representatives simply can't be found anywhere else. Google Zero Res and read thousands of 5-star reviews.
So what kind of deals can I expect?
Just mention that you heard us on the radio, and we'll give you $100 off your air duct cleaning.
Wow, that sounds like a pretty great deal. Remember, folks, Zero Res,
spelled forward or backwards, it's the right way to clean.
CEROREZ. Zero Res.
Now that's what I call high-quality H2O.
If you want high-quality water in your home at a fair price that won't scare you to death, then talk to someone who knows water and is not a pushy salesman. Contact your local water boy, Keith. I install premium equipment and can repair or even rebuild your existing system. In a business known for aggressive sales tactics, let me show you how my approach is different. If you've got any water problems, contact the water boy at waterboyjack.com.
Want to be up close and personal with the Jaguars as they take the field? Here's your chance to be in the shadows, outside the Jaguars locker room, now called the Vault. Enter today at everbank.com/shadows. One winner and a guest for every home game at Everbank Stadium. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents in 50 United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry periods for the Shadow Sweepstakes promotion from 8/19/24 to 12/15/24. For official rules and complete details, visit everbank.com/shadows. Sponsored administrator, Everbank N.A. member FDIC.
Brackish Vodka, the official vodka of UNF Athletics, 100% made in Jacksonville, is available at all local liquor stores. Visit Browdy's, Total Wine, ABC, Shores, Golden, Sahara's, Golden Ox, and more. Drink our gluten-free San Francisco Spirit award-winning vodka and see why it's the smoothest vodka you can buy. When you drink Brackish Vodka, you support all of our local employees and all the money stays in Jacksonville. Drink Brackish Vodka and live life slightly salty. Proud partner of the Jaguars.
What Major League Baseball player has drawn the most walks during his career? The answer next.
How long has it been since you compared homeowners' insurance rates? Log on to southernoak.com to get an instant quote or find an agent near you.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Barry Bonds holds the record for most career walks, being given first base over 2,500 times.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Florida and UCF comes up on Saturday. Of course, we'll hear the game right here on 1010XL. Florida State and Clemson. You got Miami taking on Cal, and, of course, Georgia and Auburn in what looks like it's going to be a big weekend of college football. Bill Bender of the Sporting News, certainly one of our guys here on 1010XL, and is always kind enough to join us in the city of Jacksonville. Bill, how we doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, Bill, we always appreciate it. You and I spoke about a month ago. I think it was right after Florida State lost over there in Ireland. And at that point, we thought, or at least I did, maybe a blip on the radar. I didn't think, anything of it other than Georgia Tech played above their heads. And now here we are. Florida State 1-4, coming off a 26-point drubbing at the hands of SMU. And in comes a red-hot Clemson team. I mean, Bill, is Florida State the most disappointing team in America?
I would say they're definitely in the running, and probably, yes, they hold that distinction. And I don't like piling on teams that are struggling, but the bottom line is you're a team, like, you're right. Last time we spoke, we were, I think, both still in somewhat shock. And then, but you could have wrote that off, and then it just goes bad to worse. I believe in our latest 1-to-134, I think we have them as right down with like Kansas and Wake Forest as the three worst Power 4 programs up to this point. And again, I told you last time, I picked them to win the ACC. So it's not like I'm proud to say that out loud.
Well, here's the thing, and I've tried to put my finger on it. Is it DJU? Is it, all the transfer portal guys maybe aren't, working out like they have in years past? And then I look on Sunday afternoons, and I see Jared Verse and Braden Fisk and Jarian Jones and all Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman. I mean, they lost so much from last year, and they were playing with fire to me, Bill, all along with this portal, and I guess finally it didn't work out for them this offseason.
I'll give you here would be a silver lining or a what if. So Michigan's going through the same thing. You watch Michigan. Michigan's ranked 10th in the country. They're 4-1. They have the 129th best passing attack in the country right now with Alex Orji. And they are a couple plays away from they could have easily lost to Minnesota, and they could have easily lost to Fresno State, which would have made them the defending national champions 2-3. I think they're having a lot of the same problems as Florida State, the only difference being they've got an elite defense that's carrying them through these wins. So that's just my way of saying when you lose that many guys to the NFL draft and you're not Georgia, Alabama, or Ohio State, these things can happen. I mean, we both remember LSU from 2019 to 2020.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Again, Bill Bender of the Sporting News here with us. Bill, 1-4. We mentioned maybe the biggest disappointment in America to this point. Clemson, we thought, might be in that conversation after opening week. They got drubbed by Georgia, and since then, Clemson has flat out been hurting people. Does Florida State have a shot on Saturday night?
Oh, my gosh. You made me do a long pause because I don't know how to say no politely. I think really good in terms of the offense and what they've been able to accomplish since that opening loss to Georgia. Cade Klubnik, 12 touchdowns since, and they found a deep threat in the freshman receiver. Their running game's working. Their defense is still pretty good. I don't think it'll be bad as the game that spawned the guy reading the book. Remember that one? The shirtless guy in the book in the stands. I don't think it'll be that bad. Now, I don't know if Florida State's going to make a quarterback switch either. I saw Pete Thamel's tweet that said DJU's listed as or, which means you might get some Brock Glenn, but I don't know if that's going to cure the ills. Maybe they're college kids. Maybe they rise up with the nobody believes in us card that you can use a couple times, but I would have thought they would use that against SMU.
No, I agree. That's a 7 o'clock kick in Tallahassee, Florida State and Clemson. In Gainesville, 7:45 Saturday night, UCF and Florida. Interesting game. UCF had everything in front of them, and then Dion and Colorado come in there and just absolutely waxed them on Saturday. You wonder where UCF will kind of be mentally coming into Gainesville after what Colorado did to them, last weekend.
Yeah, it was a stunner. That was one I miscalculated. I thought UCF would run right through them. I know weather got in the way a little bit, but you look at this Big 12 race, and I'm writing about that now, wide open. When I talked to you 4 weeks ago, I had Utah as the pick in the Big 12 to get a first-round bye, and 4 weeks have gone by, and guess who I have now? Their biggest rival, BYU. And it is throw a dart league in terms of trying to pick a champion. We talked about that in the preseason, and it's come to fruition. I mean, it's not crazy to say it right now that Colorado is squarely in the mix for a Big 12 championship.
No, there's no doubt about that. And you thought Colorado might fall off the cliff after the Nebraska game. That does not appear to be the case. That was maybe Dion's best performance as their head coach, going into Orlando and knocking off UCF in that dominating a fashion. And that does bring me to the Gators. Look, everybody is waiting for Billy Napier to be let go, but they did go to Mississippi State and they won. They had a bye week. They're 2-2. A vitally important game, obviously, for Billy Napier on Saturday. What do you make of Florida heading into this one?
Well, I mean, everybody seems to have a presumptive fate here, but, what if they win here convincingly and start to push this thing in the right direction? Would it be a Mike Norvell from a couple year situation where they get rolling, win a couple games, and all of a sudden, maybe the heat cools off a little bit? I don't think that's the case. I had a conversation with Tim Tebow a couple weeks ago, and I think he had the best answer. He said it's not the quarterback switch. It's when you watch Florida, they don't win at the line of scrimmage on either side of the ball. And their rushing statistics, both for and against, bear that out. So I think it's more of a long-term comprehensive fix than just, hey, we put DJ in there, we'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. Graham Mertz looked very good against Mississippi State, although DJ Lagway did as well, but Mississippi State is just not very good. Who do you like in Florida and UCF? Everybody I've talked to, it's about 50-50 right now.
No, it's coin flip, and it's early in the week, so I'd probably give you a different answer later in the week. But I'll go with Florida for now. I mean, I was just stunned at the way UCF and that offense allowed Colorado to beat them. Yeah, it wasn't even close. So, I mean, yeah, there's a chance that Gus gets those guys going and the running game works and KJ Jefferson is a veteran quarterback, but I'm not seeing it. I think the Gators, they win this one. Now, if they lose and lose famously, all that Billy Napier stuff, it's going to reheat real quick.
Yeah, there's no question about that. A couple more for Bill Bender of the Sporting News. All right, Bill, that brings us to Miami. They won on Friday night, one of the most interesting endings of a college football game that I've ever seen. I can't remember a replay literally deciding who wins a game. That was very odd to me. Regardless of how you feel about it, they did get the win, and now they're going thousands of miles away to Cal. Certainly the favorite. They should beat Cal. But what do you make of the Hurricanes and Mario Cristobal 5 games in?
Well, first questions first. Do you think he caught it?
Well, I said this when it happened. They ruled it a touchdown, right? So because it was ruled a touchdown, I honestly don't know how they saw enough to overturn that. I thought if they would have ruled it incomplete, it would have stayed incomplete. I thought it was going to remain a touchdown, and then they called the ACC offices, and You know, Miami's might be their best shot at a playoff. I don't know. It was interesting, Bill. It makes the mind wander a little bit.
It did. And, it's funny you say that. The first time I watched it, I watch it in real time, watch the replay, and you say, wow, he caught that. Then they do the whole bodies. You see all the bodies, try to sort it out. And I still was like, I think he caught that. I don't think, maybe it was loose and then his body hit the out of bounds line and he didn't have control of it. But like you said, I don't know how you overturn that. And you're talking to a guy that is a Packers fan, and I don't know how many years it's been, and I'm still angry about the Fail Mary with Seattle. It took a Super Bowl off their fingers. To answer your question, Miami survived. Cameron Ward played great, played through some turnovers and adversity. They didn't tackle well in that game at all. And that's something that could catch them, especially on run defense. I think they take care of business at Cal. What a weird – again, we could have just rewound our conversation from a couple months ago. You'd have told me, hey, week 6, game days at Cal for Cal and Miami. No, there's no way that's going to happen. So that is definitely an interesting development.
It is, no doubt. And that's like 13 hours before kickoff is when game day is going to be there. So I wonder what the crowd will be like for Miami and Cal there for college game day. All right, that brings me to Georgia. What a game. I mean, my goodness. Alabama and Georgia, worth the hype and then some. Alabama wins it. Georgia turns right back around. They play an Auburn team that is an absolute free fall right now. I don't think Georgia will have any problems with Auburn, but you kind of wonder where Georgia is mentally after losing that Alabama game.
Right. It's just how long are they emotional? Well, I think Alabama and Georgia, how long are their emotional hangovers in either direction? For Alabama going to Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt is improved. I'm not saying they're going to lose, but the first quarter could be slow. Georgia, do they come out super angry and just blow the doors off an Auburn team that looks like they're ready to get their doors blown off? They commit too many turnovers. What a costly interception last week against Oklahoma late in that game, blowing an 11-point lead. I think Georgia, full go. But to your point, what a game. What a game. I was so entertained by that game, the way the swings, the momentum, the overreactions in game, and the back-to-back touchdown passes was some incredible TV. It was a great game, and props to Alabama for winning the game.
Is Hugh Freeze in trouble at Auburn already?
I think so. I think what bothered me and a lot of people obviously was the press conference a couple weeks ago, where as somebody who, as you know, we're talking to, I coach a lot of youth sports and those kind of things, and I will never publicly blame the kid. Maybe behind the closed doors, you're like, man, why did that happen? And Hugh could have done that with his quarterbacks behind closed doors. But this isn't the NFL. It's easier for Doug Peterson. Well, maybe that's a bad example, but you know what I mean? Like an NFL coach to come out in the podium and say something critical about a player than it is in college, because even though these guys are making money now, it's still seen as overcritical, and it's seen as Hugh's not owning up that the coach has got to coach better too.
All right, Bill, leave us with this. We won't hold you to it, but here we are a month into the year, a little over a month into the year. Give me the best team in the 4 major conferences right now, in your opinion.
I mean, I'm going to give you like a semi-cop-out answer. I think Ohio State is the most complete team, but they're not going to have the benefit of the test that Texas and Alabama and Georgia have, and Tennessee. I mean, when you have 4 of the 5 best teams in the country are in one conference, the other one's in the Big Ten, where I just don't think they're going to be tested to the level. They might get a little test from Oregon, a little test from Penn State. I just think they're far and away better than anybody else in the conference. And those other 4, but when they get in a playoff and a quarterfinal or a semifinal, and they're playing one of these SEC powerhouses possibly, then it's going to get real. So my answer would be Ohio State and Alabama are right there. They're all 3 interchangeable, and I really like what Tennessee's doing. But if I had to pick one, I'd pick Ohio State.
And you say Miami in the ACC and then BYU in the Big 12 right now?
I'm sure those will be correct when we talk again late in October or in November, right? So predictions are made to be wrong, but that's where we're at right now.
Bill, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville what you have coming up on the sporting news as we head into a big college football weekend.
Yeah, I'm at Bill Bender 92 at Sporting News, and I always enjoy talking to you guys down there. It's very fortunate to be covering this. We're getting ready for October 12th, by the way, and not to be self-serving. Greatest day of college football in the regular season this year happens to fall on my birthday. So I'll be working on my birthday, but I'll be enjoying every second of it.
Well, that's outstanding. And we always think Bill Bender does outstanding work. You can check out that work at the Sporting News. Bill, I know you're busy. Thank you, my friend. We'll talk again soon.
Hey, anytime. Thanks for having me.
Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
And thank you to Bill Bender of the Sporting News for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark as we are approaching, what are we at now, week number 6 already of the college football season. Pretty wild, and should be a pretty interesting weekend locally. You got 4 what I would call intriguing games. Obviously, Florida and UCF down in Gainesville Saturday night. You'll hear that game right here on 1010XL Radio. Florida State hosting Clemson. On paper, Clemson should roll Florida State because Florida State's offense is terrible anyway, and now they're going to have a very inexperienced quarterback, it appears, that will be starting for them. But the game is in Tallahassee on a Saturday night. We'll see. You got Georgia and Auburn. Where are the Bulldogs mentally after that game last week against Alabama? And then Miami goes to Cal. I mean, thousands of miles from Miami, Florida, out to Cal Berkeley, which will be very interesting to see what happens there. Miami should win the game. Miami's immensely more talented than Cal, but my goodness, what a road trip that is for a bunch of college athletes. So we'll see. And obviously all points in between, some other really good games as well. Should be a fun Saturday. Thank you to Bill Bender of the Sporting News. We talked a lot about that. And then obviously talked a lot about the Jacksonville Jaguars getting ready for Indianapolis. They're back on the practice field tomorrow, getting ready to try to get off the mat. They are currently the only winless team in the National Football League, and hopefully they can change that on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Well, that'll just about do it. It has been a very, very busy Tuesday night edition of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, Bill Bender of the Sporting News talking college football. Thank you to Travis Holmes of Big Cat Country for talking a little Jaguars with us tonight. You also had my buddy Rick Ballou. You hear him into the night with Rick Ballou every evening here on 1010XL, talking a little Florida State and their dreadful 1-4 start, trying to turn that around beginning this Saturday. And back in hour number 1, Jared Bailey of the Sporting News talking Jags, AFC South, and more. We will be back tomorrow night on a Wednesday, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Dylan Denmark was your producer. Tonight, Dylan, great job as always. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Tuesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Tuesday evening, and we will talk to you again tomorrow night on a Wednesday beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.
Who brought the house to their feet?